My neighbor couldn't control himself when he saw me. You won't believe what happened next. Infidelity Diaries. I never thought I would be writing this down, but life has a strange way of unfolding in ways we don't expect. My name is Rachel, I'm 37 years old, married, and I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood just outside of Dallas, Texas. To anyone looking from the outside, my life seems picture perfect. I have a husband, Daniel, who works long hours as an accountant, a comfortable house, and a routine that looks calm and ordinary. But what happens behind closed doors, inside a marriage, isn't always what people imagine. Daniel and I had been married for nearly 12 years. We had gone through all the motions of what marriage was supposed to be: falling in love, getting a house together, building a life. But over time, our connection had started to fade. It wasn't that Daniel was a bad man. He was loyal, responsible, and hardworking. But his work had consumed him so much that our relationship felt more like a partnership of convenience than a marriage. We barely had real conversations anymore, intimacy was rare, and I often found myself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this was all there was going to be for the rest of my life. That's when my neighbor entered the picture. His name was Matthew, though everyone in the neighborhood just called him Matt. He had moved into the house next door about a year ago after going through a divorce. He was in his early 40s, tall, broad-shouldered, and carried himself with the kind of quiet confidence that drew people in. At first, he kept mostly to himself, but over time, small interactions, waving across the yard, quick hellos at the mailbox, turned into longer conversations. Matt had a way of looking at me that Daniel hadn't in years. His eyes lingered, his voice carried warmth, and sometimes I caught him smiling at me like he was seeing something more than just a neighbor. I would be lying if I said I didn't notice. I noticed, and it made me feel something I hadn't felt in a very long time: desired. One hot summer afternoon, I was outside tending to my small garden, wearing a sundress that clung lightly to my skin. The Texas sun was unforgiving, and I could feel the sweat on my forehead. That's when Matt walked over, holding a glass of lemonade in his hand. "You look like you could use this," he said with a smile. I laughed and took the glass from him, our fingers brushing for just a second longer than necessary. "You're a lifesaver," I replied. We sat on my porch steps, talking about nothing and everything: his divorce, my husband's long work hours, the way the neighborhood seemed to change with every new family that moved in. The conversation felt natural, effortless, but under the surface, there was a current of tension I couldn't ignore. That night, I replayed the way his eyes had flickered down at me, the way his laugh lingered, and the feeling of his hand brushing mine. I told myself it was just harmless attention, the kind of thing that gave a bored housewife a little thrill. But deep down, I knew it was something more. Weeks passed, and our interactions grew more frequent. Matt started helping me with things around the house, fixing a loose fence panel, carrying in heavy groceries, and even lending me tools when Daniel was too busy to. Each time, there was a subtle closeness, a spark in the air that neither of us acknowledged out loud. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Saturday afternoon. Daniel had gone on a work retreat for the weekend, leaving me alone. I was cleaning the living room when I heard a knock at the door. It was Matt, holding a set of jumper cables. "Car won't start," he explained. "Mind if I use your driveway to give it a jump?" "Of course," I said, leading him around back. After we got his car running, he thanked me and lingered by the porch. "You know," he said, leaning against the railing, "it's kind of nice having someone next door who actually talks to me. Most people keep to themselves." I smiled. "Well, I know what it feels like to feel invisible," I admitted before I could stop myself. His expression softened, and in that moment, there was a silence between us that felt heavy, charged. He looked at me in a way that made my pulse quicken. "Rachel," he said quietly, almost like he was testing how it felt to say my name. I should have walked away right then. I should have reminded myself that I was married, that this was dangerous territory. But I didn't. Instead, I stood frozen, my heart pounding, as his eyes locked